All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Inner Circle, a masterclass webinar series. I am your host, Laura Gretzer, Director of Education for the Circle of Dental Excellence. We use the acronym CODE. And if you're new to CODE, welcome, and I hope that you join us again. We offer monthly virtual mastermind sessions with expert guest moderators and several live multi-day in-person events throughout the country that are also offered in a full virtual setting with multiple opportunities for CE hours. With more information about our upcoming in-person events is Daniel.
Hello. What a great introduction. So it looks like we see a lot of friendly names and faces here. Just wanted to touch base, let everyone know that we have some great in-person events coming up, and they are filling up fast. We are in Orlando, July 16th to 18th. The event's going to be incredible as far as we're going to have a great pre-event party. The CE is wonderful. The speakers are wonderful. We're going to do a meetup in Disney World at Epcot. And the hotel itself is fantastic. We'd love to see you all there. And then New Orleans in December, we're already building very fast towards that. Uh, a lot of people have already registered, so get online, get yourself registered. Lastly, we are at 1,599 followers on Facebook. I really don't like those weird numbers, so it'd be nice if, over the course of this call, we can at least add one more person so we can
Tell your
have
friends.
hit that 1,600 and keep growing from there. It's been a wonderful evolution these last 6 months and plenty more to come. So thank you all, and back to everyone else, and I will shut my face off of here. See you all later.
Okay. So, a little housekeeping reminder, the session is being recorded and will be shared on our YouTube channel shortly after the presentation. The Q&A box is open. I will double check. And the chat feature is also open. I'll monitor the Q&A box during our presentation today and indicate to Alicia that there is a question pending at an appropriate point. Before we begin, I am going to take a quick survey of everyone's uh, current climate of your calls at the office. So it'll take you, it's like a quick four little questions. So I have them up on the screen for you. While you guys are looking through that, I have a fun little video to share, and then I'll introduce today's host with us. So let me pop over here. YouTube.
Thank you for calling Comcast. This is Allison. Can you give me just a minute?
Yes.
Sorry about that. How can I help you?
Allison, I'm calling because Comcast raised my rates again, and I don't understand why I have to pay more for the same service. It's $4 more for the exact same thing I had before.
Okay, can I get your name
Sally Walton,
and your address?
1225 Kentucky Avenue, Thornton, Colorado, 80229.
And the last four of your social security number?
1234.
You said you had a question about your bill or something?
Yes, Comcast keeps raising my rates, and I'm tired of it.
Okay, give me just a minute to take a look at your account, okay? Can I put you on hold?
Yes.
Hey, Steve. Becca's texting me. She wants to know if we're gonna hang out tonight, if we're gonna play Uno or something. All right, text me after that call. Thanks for holding. Sorry about that. So I just took a look at your account, and it looks like you're in the preferred cable package with the HD box. And the HD went from $8 to $10, and your preferred package went from $16.95 to $18. Not that much.
I don't understand why my rates keep getting increased.
Well, the programmers raise the rates, and they charge Comcast. So in turn, we have to charge you higher rates.
You know what?
But it's not that
You know
much.
what? It is a lot. It's enough to me. I'm done with this. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I'm gonna go to satellite.
Oh, That makes me laugh. That's too funny. Now, I hope none of your offices sound like that when anyone calls you. And today, we have Alicia Diu-Just with over 20 years of experience in dental technology and practice management. Alicia brings a unique blend of real-world dental expertise and innovative tech leadership. She's passionate about helping practices simplify workflows, improve efficiency, and get the most out of modern dental software. So I hope you all have finished the current temperature of calls. It looks like about 60% of you have participated. I'm going to end it real quick, and then we'll share some results in just a little bit. Let me share. Can all of you see those yet? All right. Alicia, can you see the poll of the calls?
So I had it, but I closed it.
Okay, I have it here. I'll keep an eye on it.
Okay. All right. Can I go ahead and take over the sharing now?
You may.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Laura, you pronounced my name perfectly. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So the topic of our call today, our meeting today, is why your calling matters. And Um, before I joined the company where I'm at, Dentamax, I did dental consulting for about 11 years, and our consulting firm was all about making things personal. The firm was a little bit different. We actually worked in the practices. We didn't just meet up with the office once a month or something and give tips and all of that. We worked in the office side by side and did more of a mentorship consulting. So we would train the staff on, how to answer the phone, how to greet patients, how to ask for money, how to do all those fun things. And so one of my biggest pet peeves over the years, if any of you can think about the last time you called the bank or your physician's office or really kind of anywhere that isn't a friend that knows you, what was the experience you felt? And I don't know how many times I've walked into a medical practice or called and they just answer the phone and say date of birth or sign in here. And they don't bother taking the time to actually care about why you're there, why you're calling, what your needs are. They're just trying to move you through the process. And anytime I have that experience, it really kind of like riles me up. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a human. We're all humans, and we want to feel like we're showing up at a provider's office or calling because we have needs and we want those needs met and we want them acknowledged. So that's the topic of our meeting today. And as you can see in the Comcast example, obviously super old school, but that felt painful. You can see that that person was disengaged, they were rushed, they didn't care, they were very impersonal. Some of the things you might have picked up on is she didn't bother to use the person's name who was calling in, and all she did was just ask for information and didn't really empathize at all or give any sort of tips. So that's what we're talking about today on how to make your calls feel better, how to make your patients feel heard and feel valued. So again, reflecting on that call, if you call somewhere as a client, if you were that person calling Comcast wanting to know why your bill went up, when you gave them your name, did that person know who the heck you are? Probably one of the most annoying things, just as a consumer, is when you give your name and then later they're like, ma'am, and or sir, they ma'am you, right? They don't actually use your name, even though you've given them your name, which to me is a really good indicator that it's okay to use it if somebody has given you their name. Also, did that person have any idea why you were calling before you had to explain it? In a dental office, we pretty much know who all of our patients are, and we know who's not a patient yet. And so when somebody calls, if they give you their name, usually you're like, oh, it's so and so, if they're an existing patient. And generally, you have a pretty good idea why they're calling. They have a balance, or they need to schedule recall because you guys have been making the effort to outreach to them. They're just returning a call in most cases. So, or ooh, we sent them a pretty large bill. They maxed out of their insurance at another office, and you know, that bill got paid before our bill got paid. So now they're going to owe us money. And I know we just sent them a statement. So I know that's why they're calling. When you can think back to a time where you've called the bank or something like that, did they greet you warmly or did they just put you on hold? Probably another pet peeve of mine when I call somewhere and they're just like, please hold. And I'm like, I just needed your suite number. And like I'm there holding for 10 minutes just to ask for a suite number or something super basic. Also, when you called that bank or what have you, did they impatiently wait for you to make your ask? So obviously you're calling them for a reason and they're like, yes, yes, what can I do for you? Yeah, yes, like get to it. You feel like they're rushing you along. And did you get what you needed out of that phone call and how did they make you feel? So thanks for doing the poll, Laura. So the question becomes your turn. How do you grade yourself? So if you think about your phone calls and your interactions with your patients, how good did you make that patient feel when you spoke to them? Did they feel listened to or did they feel rushed off the phone? Did they feel understood and cared for? Did they trust you to take the action on their behalf that they needed? And so, Laura, I don't know if you have the poll results you want to share.
That is one of them. So, question number 2 was, how do you think patients feel after most calls from your office? And I am happy to report that 67% said their patients feel valued and cared for. Now,
Woo!
yes, woo, we'll take the wins.
We will.
Neutral was about 17%. Rushed was only about 6%, and unsure was at 11.
Okay. So that's a really good opportunity if you're unsure how your patients felt after, hanging up the phone call. Dial in a little bit after today's meeting and think about some of the tips that we put out there. And it's okay to ask those questions. The next time you talk to that person, or the next opportunity you have, every phone call is an opportunity, right? So it's okay to say, hey, how's everything going? We really value you. I just want to make sure that we say that and acknowledge that and get your feedback. So it's really good opportunity to get a temperature check from your patients if you're unsure how they're feeling. So a really good exercise I like to do is to write down 5 keywords or phrases that you want your patients to feel from every call you make. Have that on a sticky at your desk. And before you pick up the phone, just read those keywords or phrases and think, how am I going to communicate those things that I want that patient to feel from me? So some tips that I will add for, making phone calls: smile when you call. People can't see your smile, but they can hear it in your voice. And, there's a really big difference between, hi, it's so-and-so calling from Dr. So-and-so's office. How are you? Good. Well, I was needing to get your next appointment booked versus, hi, it's Alicia calling from Dr. Smith's office. How are you today? So they might not see it, but they can hear it. Use the person's name, please. If they've given you their name, if you don't know how to pronounce their name, ask. A lot of people who have hard names, like me, what I was saying to Laura, my last name, it's really challenging. But it's a sign of respect that you want to say their name properly. And most people don't get offended if you ask them how to pronounce their name, as long as you ask them like in a respectful way. If I say, how do you pronounce that? That's way different than, your name looks so interesting. Can you pronounce that for me? I want to make sure I get it right. totally different tone. So smile when you call, use the person's name a lot. We all love hearing our own name. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel seen and valued. And another great tip is to match the person's pace on the phone. So what's their speed that they're speaking at? And usually that's the speed in which they can receive information from you. So if at other times too, if they sound rushed or panicked, that could mean that they're busy. And so you don't want to be, Southern drawl and how are you today, sweetheart? And they're like, I'm good. What can I do you for? Like, I need to get off the phone. I'm in the middle of something, but I wanted to answer your phone call because I saw it was you calling and I care about what you have to say, but I'm still busy. A lot of times we call patients and they're in the middle of their workday. So you want to kind of match their pace without matching the emotion of their pace. So if you feel that they're annoyed by your call, if they're rushing, if they're pressing to get you off the phone, you can match their speed without matching their emotion. And it really takes some mental effort to do that because a lot of times, studies have actually shown that people mirror the emotion that you get from the other person you're talking to. So if that other person is, rushed and being a little bit rude, as a patient, you want to be careful to not match their emotion, even though you're matching their pace and trying to move the call forward in a way that's going to help them. So moving on here to our next slide. The question behind every call, before you call somebody, pause and ask yourself 2 questions, and this will shape the whole tone of your phone call and the outcome. Why am I calling this person? We know why you need to call the person. You need to schedule their recall, collect a payment, book, their family's unscheduled treatment, whatever the case may be. But that's your reason. So, clarify to yourself, what's the reason I'm calling this person? And it should be to educate someone. It should be to motivate someone or confirm and coordinate with that person. So if you reframe the reason you're calling instead of, well, I'm calling to book their next appointment, because that's for you, you're wanting to book their next appointment, to something else, for example, in an educational call. So for a great use case of this is treatment plan presentation over the phone. So if you're calling saying, I need to tell you so that you book this appointment and we fill our schedule, basically, this is how much money you're going to owe when you come in and have that work done. It feels like it's in your best interest and not theirs. And I don't know about you guys, but I can always sense when someone's calling just to get something from me versus add value and have a genuine interaction. So if we reframe that and use the person's name, Jennifer, I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to sit down and talk this over when you were here, but I wanted to make sure that we did our diligence to provide you the care and understanding on what's going on with the health of your mouth and body and answer all of your questions. Is now a good time to go over your treatment plan with you? And that way they're like, oh, first of all, they used my name. They acknowledge that, we could have done this in person and somehow missed each other in some way. They're taking responsibility, the onus for that. So it's not a blaming sort of, you ran out of the office before we had a chance to talk to you, which a lot of times can happen. But we don't want to blame people for that. We understand sometimes people have other motivations for wanting to leave. They don't want to hear it. They're scared of the price, whatever the case may be. So this just really reframes it so that person, that patient feels cared for and like you have a valuable reason to call instead of just you're trying to get what you need out of it.
I'm going to jump in real quick. That was one of
Yeah,
our questions.
please. Great. Go
So,
ahead.
question 1 was when you call a patient, what is your primary goal?
Right.
So 55% was a mix of all 3. The options were complete a task, which was 35% of it, whether it's confirming or following up. Most of us are task oriented.
Yep.
Build rapport and solve a problem were only at 5% each. But sometimes those rapport, and the majority of everyone said a mix of all three.
Yeah.
But a good rapport builder would be like if you knew someone was sick or they canceled because they didn't feel good or because, husband's in the hospital, whatever the case may be. A good way to build rapport is to check on them in a week and say, "Hey, I know things didn't work out. How is everyone doing? Just want to check and see if everyone's okay." Not necessarily to let's reschedule, but at least
Right.
just to touch them and say, "Hey, is everyone okay? Is everyone, feeling better? Is everyone healthy?" That kind of thing.
Exactly. So what's the purpose of your call from the patient's viewpoint is, the second question you should be asking yourself before you dial the phone, to your point, Laura. So patients can feel the difference between a call being made to get something from them versus to give something. So going back to educate, motivate, or confirm, a motivational call, the task-oriented call is, I'm calling to schedule your hygiene visit. Call us back at blah, 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 versus, hey, Jennifer, I hope your family spring break has been awesome. It looks like we missed setting up a time that works well for you and your family. For your hygiene care, I want to make sure we're able to get everyone seen in one visit. I know you like that. Instead of coming back several times, do you have a moment to open your calendar? Now I sound like helpful to that person. I understand the family's needs and dynamics. So definitely you want to reframe why you're calling. The last example of this is a coordination type of call. So this is Sally. I'm calling to confirm your appointment tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Please call us back. And remember, we have a 24-hour cancellation policy. Versus, hope your day has been great, Jennifer. Just giving you a courtesy call to say we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. And you have to smile when you say we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If you would please let us know you'll be here so we can make sure our team is ready for you at 1 p.m. sharp. And that way it's like, oh, okay, cool. You want to get me in and out. You care about my timeliness. So I'm going to let you know for sure. Yeah, I'll be there. So just keep in mind, why are you calling? What's the purpose that you're calling from the patient's standpoint? If you are a task-oriented person, which a lot of us are type A task-oriented people, we like knowing that we checked the things off our list that we need to get accomplished for the day. It makes us feel good to get those things done. But you really have to walk the line sometimes because we can lean a little more towards a transactional call versus a value phone call. So a transactional call is built around the office's agenda, not the patient experience. It gets the job done for sure, but it rarely builds that rapport and relationship with the patient. So a really good example is calling a patient to ask for an online review. The goal is efficiency and not connection if it's a transactional call. Transactional calls are task focused. The call exists only to complete a task, to get what you want out of the call. It's usually script driven, and a lot of people might have floaters in their office and they hand these kind of duties off to those floaters and just say, hey, call these 10 people and ask blah, blah, blah. So that's where the script comes in. It's not a genuine dialogue. And then it's outcome centered for the office. So the office feels like they won when they get the outcome that they wanted out of that call. But it's not necessarily success from how the patient feels.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead, Laura.
I am going to give you one of our other poll questions was, do you believe patients can tell the difference between a scripted versus a genuine call? Anyone want to guess the results? So, no one said not really. 6% said sometimes. 53 said most of the time. And 41% said yes, always. So we're at the most of the time and yes, always responses here. Because don't you feel
Yeah,
like, if someone is scripted, they feel a little robotic in their response, like they're not listening to me.
for sure. And, I think it's important to have a script in bullet point fashion. If you're, new to the dental industry, or you don't necessarily, you're not the one doing that job usually, it's nice to have an outline of, what's the goal of this call? What am I supposed to be saying? But definitely you want it to feel genuine and conversational. So that kind of goes back to like, why are you calling? If you know why you're calling, and what you want the patient to get out of that phone call, then I think the call flows naturally, even if you might have a couple bullet points on the side about, I need to make sure to tell them what their insurance covers, what their patient portion is, and that they need 2 weeks of healing time. So if those things aren't innate in you yet, it's okay to bullet point those out without it being like a literal written script. So,
Agreed.
yeah. You don't want to miss the opportunity to educate someone because it's just not second nature to you yet, I think is really what it comes down to. So, to that point, transactional calls, how do they feel to the patient? Even when you're super professional, which somehow feels even more impersonal to me when you're super uber professional, transactional calls, they carry unmistakable undertone, as you all have identified. Patients pick up on it, and it shapes how they feel about your practice. So they feel rushed. It feels predictable, impersonal, and one-sided. And again, definitely feels like checking a checkbox instead of genuine care to the patient. So flipping that over, instead of a transactional call, what we want is a value-driven call. So what is a value-driven call? It flips the script entirely. Instead of leading with what you need, you lead out of curiosity and care for your patients, making the patient the center of the conversation. And your goal is to understand how the patient truly felt, to show that their experience genuinely matters to you. So a lot of ways you can exhibit this is to do what you say you're going to do in a phone call. And sometimes that's really hard to accomplish. But if you say, I'm going to call you, I'm going to get an answer from the doctor and call you back by the end of the day. And then the doctor runs out for lunch. And then when they get back, they immediately hop into surgery. And then the afternoon is just jam-packed and you're like struggling for that 5 seconds you need to ask the doctor, Doctor, what do you want Jennifer to do about blah, blah, blah? It can be hard to accomplish the goal sometimes. And so you just need to find a way to make it happen. If there's a special signal that you can give the doctor, like a code word, apple. Hey, doctor, I've got an apple for you when you have a second. That should signal to the doctor, if you've developed this code word to him, that you have something you need to talk to him about that can't wait until he's done with his whole day, because you've got obligations to fulfill for your patients. So if you say you're going to do something, follow through and do it. That leads to trust in your dental practice, and trust leads to more case acceptance. And a lot of other great things like positive online reviews, new patients, referrals, makes everybody's life a whole lot easier. So the value-driven call is going to be patient-centered. You're going to be curious and empathetic, not cold and sterile. And you want to focus on listening first. So that brings me to my next point. You always want to listen to hear and understand what the patient's saying, not just to respond. Sometimes when we get on a phone call, we're just trying to get off of it because there might be 3 other lines ringing and a patient standing in front of you all at the same time. So that's really, I think, the boiler, the pressure plate there. We all want to do a good job and we all want to take care of our patients and let them know we care. But when you're feeling pressured and pressed from all sides, how do you deliver that when you're just trying to get through it all? So keep in mind some of these tips so you can stay centered and focused on what the goal is, and people will respect you for that. If if I can see someone at the front desk is super hurried and rushed, that's trying to help me get out the door, and then they stop when it's my turn and they say, Alicia, thank you so much for waiting. I know we need to book your next appointment, and we really want to make sure that you get taken care of. Is there a great day and time that works for you? If they take that beat, slow down for a second, and acknowledge me, I'm going to be like, you know what? You're awesome. You just did an amazing job at handling all of this stuff and still making me feel cared for, even though you're crazy busy right now. So, it's kind of just a mental refresh before you pick up the next phone call and move forward. Laura, do you have any polls on that?
Yes, so I have, so the one of the last questions was, what do you believe patients care about most during their phone call? So the number one answer was feeling heard, right? They don't want us to like cut them off and, interrupt them during our phone calls. They want to really be heard out for their whole duration of their question or their situation. Second answer at 29% was cost or insurance details, which, is always important to the patient also.
Yep.
The bottom two were quick answers at 18%, and getting scheduled fast came in last at about 6%.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
I don't know. So I think it's really important that as people, we look at the human experience, not just, what needs to happen in the day. And I think it's important to, again, listen to understand, not to respond. Sometimes people are communicating things to you that they're not saying with their mouth. Um, they might be super stressed. I actually worked in a maxillofacial prosthodontist office for a number of years, and we saw patients that needed obturators because they had oral cancer and they had part of their palate removed. And if if they were calling and I was short with them while they're going through this horrible, terrible disease, um, I'm just piling on to the negativity that's going on around them, right? So to take the time and really understand and give that care, and also because we deal with the mouth, sometimes people have problems with their speech because of missing teeth or um, oral cancer or palatal issues, all sorts of things. So imagine being that patient with the issue calling, and the person on the phone, the other end, is just trying to rush you off the phone, and you're struggling to get the words out, and they're just like, okay, so you need a na 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 na. What do you want? You needed this, um, what does that communicate to that human as a person? So just those kind of things to keep in mind. And sometimes we, do deal with those scenarios. So it's important to repeat back what you're hearing from that person to show that you have an understanding of their needs, and then set an expectation of what's going to happen next. So two ways to make the same phone call. So situation is identical. The patient just had a visit. You're following up with them, but the approach in the impact of these two ways couldn't be more difficult. So the transactional approach is, hi, I'm calling to see how your visit went today and ask if you'd leave us a review online. That leads with the office's needs. It treats the patient as a means to an end, and it closes the door on real feedback. Obviously feels scripted and hollow. So if we flip that around to the value-driven approach, hi, I wanted to personally check in and hear how your visit felt for you today. Was there anything we did especially well or anything we could improve upon, Laura? And that leads with genuinely seeking that patient's experience. It invites honest two-way dialogue, shows genuine investment in their care, and it feels human and more memorable. So,
Yes, and when you call to check on me, I feel cared for.
exactly. And when you feel cared for, you feel happier.
And I'll
And
refer my friends to you.
and you'll refer your friends to me. You're going to leave me a great online review too. All those things do matter. And especially, so this is something I think that we don't touch on very often, but when someone feels really good about your practice, they are usually a great patient too. They show up on time, they confirm their appointments. Anytime an office makes me feel good about just living life and that they see me and they value me, I'm like doing extra for that office. And you guys have those patients where they bring you cookies, they bring you donuts, they, bring you thank you cards, send you thank you cards at Christmas. So those patients do that because they feel respected and cared for, and they want to reflect that back to you. So the difference in intent is invisible, but patients do feel it. The questions you're silently asking yourself before every phone call is going to determine everything that flows from your tone, your word choice, and the outcome you create. So transactional calls, again, ask, what can I get? It's a vehicle for extracting something, a review, a confirmation, a payment, versus value-driven calls are, how can I serve you? We're there to educate, motivate, or confirm, or coordinate with the patient in some way. So the intent you have, it shapes your tone, your questions, and your outcomes, and you can't fake genuine care, but you can cultivate it. How value-driven calls add real value. So like we were just saying, aside from people bring me cookies and and send me cards at the holidays, which always, made me feel good when I was in a dental office. It kind of just was like confirming we're doing the right thing. Your patients feel heard and respected, so there's an emotional connection there. And again, going back to they want to show up for you in return. It builds trust and loyalty, and that helps develop that long-term relationship where you can get reviews and referrals. And you also get honest feedback from those patients as well. If any of you are like me, I'm always looking to improve operational efficiency in any way I can. And so I'm one of those people where if I have a good rapport with the office, I'll say, hey, have you guys ever thought of doing an open house to invite more new patients to your practice? And I'm, willing to have that conversation with that person at the front desk to give tips on, from my patient perspective, how they might be able to improve things or, increase their business, because I care about them and I know they care about my feedback. If it's a transactional relationship, I'm not wasting my time to tell them any of my feedback. If anything, if they make me mad, I might go on Google and say something about it, but I'm not doing a survey with them. I'm not like taking their phone call to give them feedback. I'm not doing any of that because they already showed me that they didn't care. So honest feedback definitely can lead to operational growth. I really love you guys. I love your practice, except that toilet paper in the bathroom always falls apart when I use it, right? So those little touches, I think we all know matter.
Can
And
I interject a funny
of
story?
course, yes,
Okay.
please.
All right. Funny story because you were talking about toilet paper. Now,
Yeah.
TMI for some people, but it was hilarious. There was one time when the store happened to be out of 2-ply and we
Hmm.
only had 1-ply. And then we had patients who have been there for, 20 years who were like, okay, what is this? You have got to change this as soon as possible, please.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I love you. Thank you for sharing with us.
Yes. But imagine if they didn't feel comfortable to share that with you, and then the doctor's like, well, the 1-ply is cheaper. Nobody complained. We'll just keep using it, right? But
Right.
secretly, they're all annoyed and going, what's going on? Are
Ew.
you guys going out of business? You had to like
Right.
downsize on my toilet paper? Like, what?
Right. Give me an extra ply, please.
Right? How about the 3-ply? Okay, you guys are worth it.
Quilted,
Quilted,
also.
right? The organic toilet paper. So all of that leads to, of course, reviews and referrals and organic growth. So I want to shift away from transactional and move towards value driven, and the results will speak for themselves. Um, so how this differentiates you as a person, not the practice. So when everybody calls an 800 number, what do you expect? You expect somebody reading off of a script, asking you questions, and just doing the transactional thing, right? So if we're all getting automated messages and AI scripting is getting better, but let's just say any kind of scripting. A human conversation can be rare and it can be more unforgettable these days. So how you show up with curiosity and care, you become someone patients remember long after the phone calls. There are people where I might have forgotten their name, to be honest. I'm not horrible at names, but I'm not the best at names. But sometimes I'm like, I just can't remember that person's name. But I remember they were so cool and I want to talk to them again because of how they made me feel when we had our first interaction. So if you change how you're doing things in every possible way, if you're trying to be more value driven, you stand out as a genuine and thoughtful person, and people will remember you as a person. So most callers, 800 numbers, all of that practices. Some dental offices use call centers. They follow a script. You follow the patient's lead instead, and the difference will be felt immediately. So patients remember you, not just the dental practice. And Laura, you've probably had experiences with this where, you've shown up at some sort of medical office or what have you, and the person you really liked at the front desk isn't there anymore, and someone new is sitting there,
And they don't
and they're
treat me
like,
quite the same.
they don't treat you the same, and you walk
No.
away feeling a little
Ooh.
disappointed, right? And you're like,
Yes, for
oh,
sure.
the magic is gone because that person is gone. So us as humans, we want the conversation to feel human, not scripted, and patients can sense that authenticity when your guard comes down and you're genuinely trying to make that human connection. And I think several people have been quoted in saying um, people may not always remember, what you did, but they remember how you made them feel. So I carry that with me because it's really true. You can see the difference in someone who's made you feel good in your interaction with that person versus someone who's just, sign in, please. Um,
Right. Yes,
yeah.
they're very task oriented, that person.
Yes. And there's always going to be those people, but you have to push yourself to overcome that, which is why you want to take some of these tips down.
Mm.
So aside from just differentiating yourself as an individual, it also sets your practice aside. Individual calls build something larger over time. You may not see a change immediately when you kind of shift into more value-driven conversations versus the transactional side, but over time, your team members see what you're doing. It creates more pleasant atmosphere. Your patients are happier. They feel more respected and they show up for you. And then your entire practice transforms from a place patients just visit to a community that they trust. So they trust you as individuals and caretakers. So you want to have stronger patient relationships, a better reputation and word of mouth, culture built on care, not on transactions. And practices that actually listen will grow differently and they will be more sustainable. The shift is, it's not just a communication strategy, it's a commitment to treat every patient as a whole person before, during, and after every visit. And have a simple call framework to follow for this. So before every call, again, stop and ask, why am I calling? You want to start with a clear purpose. What value can I add to this person? And lead with something useful. And sometimes it's just, again, the way you're making them feel in that phone call is the useful part. Sometimes the information is blah. And sorry, your insurance isn't going to cover that. I know you really need it. It's going to be out of pocket. It might not always be good news. In fact, most of the time it's probably not good news.
No, not with
But
the insurance phone call. No.
exactly,
Another conversation, but that's, a whole nother day.
right. That's a different meeting. But if you make them feel valued in the process, they're going to walk away swallowing that a whole lot easier than if it just
Yeah.
felt like I'm just throwing information at you and let us know what you want to do. Do you want to book that? Well, no, no, I don't want to book that. Um, so ask yourself, am I truly prepared to listen in this phone call? Sometimes you never know what effect you can have on a person just by listening to them. And I know sometimes we don't always have the time to spend 20 minutes on the phone with a patient, but I've dealt with a lot of elderly patients, and frankly, that's what they need sometimes. They might be in a care home, they lost their teeth, they can't chew, they can't eat, all of that, and they're struggling away from their family, whatever the case may be. So taking the time to listen to them instead of trying to rush them off the phone is going to make a big difference in that person's life.
Yes, they
Um,
just want someone to talk to, really, for a long time.
absolutely. Yeah. And we have a example of the right way to handle a call. Laura,
Okay.
if you wouldn't mind playing that for us.
All right, everyone, bear with me.
Thank you for calling Comcast. This is Allison. How can I help you?
Hi, Allison. I'm calling because Comcast has raised my rates again. I don't understand why I have to pay more for the same services. Can you tell me where this $4 is coming from?
Sure, I do apologize for that. We can definitely take a look at it. Can I just make sure that I have the right account up? Can I get you to verify your name and your address?
Yes, it's Sally Walton, 1255 East Kentucky Avenue, Thornton, Colorado, 80229.
Okay,
And my last four is 1234.
great. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and pull up your last statement so we can review it together and see where that extra $4 is coming from.
Thank you. It just seems like Comcast keeps raising the rates and it's getting really expensive.
I can definitely understand that. And let's see what's going on with the billing concern. Looks like your services for your household, you have the preferred package with the HD box,
Yes, that's correct.
and the rate for the HD went from $8 to $10, and the preferred package went from $16.95 to $18. So it's a difference of $3.50 from your last statement.
Okay, but I just don't understand why it's $3.50 more or $4 for that matter, but none of my services are increasing, just the prices.
Okay, and let me ask you this. Have you been taking advantage of any of the free content that we offer with our on-demand or our Xfinity.com?
Well, I watch the movies here and there, but that's about it.
Okay, because part of the reason why our rates have increased is because we have all these investments going into these new services so that we can offer our services to you where, when, and how you want them. Just making it easier for our customers so you can access the entertainment that you want when you want it.
Okay, so I am getting more services then.
Definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Allison, that's all I was concerned about. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That felt so much better, right?
Yes, she was actually listening and responding and giving her a reason, right?
Exactly. And if you notice at the beginning of the call, instead of waiting to be asked, what are the last four of your social? That person just volunteered it before the question was even asked. So when you can pick up that someone is engaged in the phone call, you're trying to help them. And that's the main thing that you can see. Again, the difference between a transactional versus a value-driven call. People will show up for you, even though you're there to show up for them. They will reciprocate. So you definitely want to shift the conversation in that direction and be more value-driven. And then lastly, you notice she said, "Is there anything else I could do for you today?" And that's, probably one of the most important questions you can ask before you disconnect a phone call, because it gives that person a moment to say, you know what? Yeah. So I don't have to call back. Could you tell me X, Y, Z? And then they feel like they get what they needed, even if they didn't need anything extra. So I think, we all get really busy with work, especially with the nonstop patient phone calls. We have to take those inbound calls, make the outbound calls, check in, check out, all those things, but you want to do it with heart. You can still get the job done at the end of the day and be a taskmaster. But remember, the way you show up and how you exhibit what you're doing is going to make all the difference. So you never know whose life you're going to touch today. Honestly, there are so many people dealing with mental illness and, suicidal thoughts and just financial trouble, all sorts of things. So I think the most important thing is to remember to be compassionate to your patients and not just treat them as somebody to fill a slot on your schedule. And all of that starts by being intentional and just setting your mind to what am I delivering to this patient today and how am I showing up for them?
Yes, I love that. We do have a question in the question box if you'd like me to read it to you.
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So our friend Alyssa says, how do you shift the mindset in an office from just answering phones or just confirming appointments to understanding that every interaction is an opportunity for value building, relationship building, and creating trust? And do you think that ultimately customer service skills may be the most important skill needed at the front desk?
Yes. All of that, yes. So, I'm of the philosophy that the only way to grow is to start by being aware. If you're not aware of what's lacking, you're never going to grow and become what you need to become. So, I know this Comcast video was super cheesy and just really like old school outdated, but it very well exhibits the wrong way to do something and a better way to do something. So I think it starts by, saying like, hey, who's here to grow? Who wants to do better? And who has dreams that they want to achieve? You want to be a better communicator, you want to be sometimes people don't want to be a better front office person, but they want to be a great communicator. So it starts with building that awareness. And the only way to have awareness is to kind of, in my opinion, lean on the really lame examples that are out there, where you have the difference, where you can see the difference in something done really poorly versus something done really well, and see if you can inspire those people to want to grow. Some people just don't want to grow in what they're doing. And obviously, I don't think that's anybody on this call today. You wouldn't be here if that were the case. So, but there are always going to be some team members out there, in dentistry and medical, in any profession that just don't care about what they're doing. And you can't do anything to make those people want to. But the people who want to, it starts with awareness.
I would say
And
awareness for sure. And so that was one of the comments I made in our chat box was,
yeah,
what are some of the pain points? Like, what do you hear your team say that just makes you like roll your eyes or groan or clench your teeth and go, oh my God, did they just say that? So there is sometimes, and how do you bring that up to them gently? Like, okay, maybe we should redirect the conversation, this way, or think of how the patient received that sentence or that tone or the information you kind of threw back at them in a not
yeah.
so pleasant way.
Yeah, I think it's important to do a pulse check with that person before you dive in with feedback for them, especially if it's something new that you've never done with them before. Like, hey, I noticed that you're really good with X, Y, and Z. I'm wondering, are you open to some feedback on how we can even, make some other skills better and help you grow and see how we can improve some things for our practice. And if they're like, I guess, then obviously tread lightly. If they're
Right.
like, yeah, I would love to grow. I love to do better. I love to learn things, and learn more and different ways of doing things. Great. Well, always, so I'm not sure who said this to me, but they say sandwich it. So start with
Yeah.
something positive, then give your critique in the middle, and then end with something positive. When you spoke to Jessica in the back and you guys were talking about setting up the next room, I noticed you were really encouraging to her and you helped her just like get it done really fast. One thing too, I did notice was that patient Sally at the front, when you were checking her out, I think she was a little nervous when you were giving her the pricing, and this is how that came across to me. Maybe if you na, I think that might come out better. And also, by the way, thank you so much. You're always such a great contributor in cleaning up at the end of the day. So it just kind of sandwich things, positive, not so positive, and then positive. So you have an
Right.
opportunity to build that rapport with the person because they want to trust you that you're looking out for their best interest. And if it's just all negative, it's never going to feel like it's in their best interest.
Very true. Yes, I love the, we'll say building sandwich.
The building the sandwich.
Right. We'll build you a sandwich.
Yep.
All right. I didn't see any other questions in here or comments. I was trying to see if there was any others right now. I don't have any just yet.
Is there anything else I could do for you today, Laura?
I know. Don't you love that? Oh, I was going to throw out a quick tip.
Yeah.
I usually, as another little nugget of information, I usually ask either the patient or the insurance company, if I have to call them, for help. Like whoever it is that I'm speaking with. Hi, so and so. I've tried this on my own a few times. I can't quite get a resolution. Would you mind helping me? And
Yes.
then they'll be more inclined to help you because then they feel of service to you. Not that I'm just calling to complain about, whatever I'm all irritated about. And same with
Right.
patients. Like if I'm trying to get something done, or let's say I've sent them, I don't know, a bill 3 times, I'm just
Hmm.
trying to understand, like, did you receive this? I'm sending it here. Did you get it? Do I have the right address? Did you move? Do I have the right cell phone number? Do I have the right email address? I have it at Comcast. Oh, you're at Gmail now, whatever,
Hmm.
and kind
Yep.
of give that, let me check in with you, not just
Hmm.
the, I've sent you 3 and you haven't paid your bill yet, you know,
Yeah. Right.
those kind
And
of things.
yeah, you
And
can
ask them for
always
help and
acknowledge.
feedback. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, hey, Sally, you've been so great in the past. I'm just, in paying your bill on time. I'm
This is
just wondering
unusual.
if you can help me with this because I know it's unusual for you. So,
Hmm.
exactly, like your message, the information, again, you may not
Yeah.
always be giving good information, like happy information, but you can deliver it in a way that is designed to be helpful. So remember, you want to know why am I calling this person? I'm calling to educate, motivate, or coordinate and confirm something. And then what is the purpose of this call from the patient's viewpoint? So if you focus on those things, which to Alyssa's question, those are really very customer service oriented ways of thinking of things, then you will stand out as a person who cares, and that leads to higher trust. Trust leads to more reviews, referrals, case acceptance, and happier patients. So at the end of the day, we are really trying to act in the patient's best interest. I don't believe anyone on this call would ever be like, well, I'm trying to sell this patient their treatment because we need money. You know, no one
You
no one
imagine.
here hopefully does that. I
No,
believe everyone
don't do
has
that,
a
friends. Don't do that.
right. You have a good intention. You want to actually get them the care they need, that like an implant is way better than a bridge because of all the things. We care
Yeah.
about those things and the longevity of their dental treatment. And so start by communicating that, especially over phone calls, because they can't see your happy, smiley face, and you will win the day.
Yes. Well, thank you. Well, if we don't see any
Thank
other
you.
questions, I will close the educational portion of today's webinar. And thank you so much. That was very helpful. I always love my conversational presentations where I get to chat with you during all of this and give you my tidbits. It's always fun.
You're
I
amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope that all of you get to walk away with a fresh perspective on the patient conversation experience from recognizing the intent behind the phone calls and avoid the transactional pitfalls like our friend at Comcast that can impact your connection and trust with your patient base. So we explored how value-driven language can transform interactions, meaningful engagement can help differentiate your practice, and frameworks can help your team to use to create stronger relationships every day within your patient base. Thank you all for joining me today on the Inner Circle Masterclass. I hope to see all of you again in my next session. That would be in 2 weeks. That's with Laura Weber. I hope to see you all in July in Orlando at our event. And I do have a survey that will pop up at the end, and the CE certificates will be emailed to all of the addresses provided once you logged in today. Certainly, if you guys want anything from us, if you have any questions or concerns, always reach out to us. So Alicia, she will be on our live event in December in New Orleans. And then I think you'll also be on a mastermind, correct? I think we see you again soon.
Yep.
So,
With that last name, she had to come to New Orleans. We didn't have a choice.
That's right.
Cajun
She
as
has
it gets.
I love it. So I will see you all again. Make sure you please fill out your surveys. I do need them for our CE portion also, and for us to get some tidbits on the things that you want to see in the future. So I'll see you again next time, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for
Thank
coming and
you.
hosting. I appreciate it.
See you soon.
Everybody get out of here. Go. No, Laura left. I didn't mean you.
That's funny. So, whoops.
A lot of great people on here.